The farmer arrives at dawn with his handful of grain, peers from the doorway as we gather in our circle, necks craned toward his fist until vertebrae crack like knuckles before a fight. Lunch breaks staggered so we can't gather at the same time or compare notes on how little grain we're actually getting. Today he holds a promotion, one kernel of advancement for 14 hungry mouths, 14 necks already showing ligament damage from years of stretching toward his closed hand. Barbara's neck extends highest, tendons taut as guitar strings, cartilage worn tissue thin from 30 years of reaching for nothing, wobbly chin bobbing with barely swallowed rage. But Jennifer's already pecking at Barbara's exposed throat, beak finding the soft spot where pulse meets ambition, accelerating heartbeats with whispered reports about missed deadlines, about crying in her car, about being human when humans aren't what they're buying. The farmer smiles, tosses the grain into our center, notices it disappear into the scrum of bodies suddenly feral, suddenly willing to feed on the others. Our anxiety explodes. Linda's talons, those filed nails she spent $40 on, slash toward Rebecca's eyes, aiming for the wet corners where doubt pools like standing water. Sarah spreads her wings, those arms toned from stress lifting at 5 a.m., blocking others from the feed, shoulder blades sharp as accusations about bathroom breaks, personal calls, the crime of having a dying mother who calls during business hours. The neurodivergent hen huddles in the corner, her different rhythm marking her for slaughter, her stimming fingers pecked bloody by those of us who've learned to hide our tics, to swallow our need to rock, to tap, to be anything other than still and grateful. We circle her silence, pecking at the soft parts, the way she won't make eye contact, timing her lunch returns, whispering about her differences to the farmer who feeds on our betrayals. Each peck draws real blood now, not metaphorical. Actual DNA evidence on the break room floor they'll mop tonight with industrial bleach. The farmer leans against the doorframe, coffee steam fogging his glasses so he can claim he didn't see the violence, didn't witness us tear each other apart for one kernel when his office holds silos of grain, when his vacation home cost more than all our salaries combined. The promotion goes to Jennifer. She left the deepest marks, proved she could eat her own species without gagging on the feathers. Observe her molt immediately, shedding worker plumage for management down, growing the hooked beak of those who've forgotten their own hunger, the sharp talons of those who now guard the grain instead of needing it. Her transformation is medical, spine straightening with new authority, voice dropping an octave with power, eyes filming over with that particular blindness that comes from no longer seeing us as the same species. Now she stands with the farmer, learning to count grain in metrics that matter. How little to distribute to keep us fighting, how much scarcity creates optimal cannibalism. The rest of us settle into our wounded circle, preening Jennifer's DNA from our talons, finding Barbara's skin under our fingernails, tasting Rebecca's fear in our mouths like sour bugs. The neurodivergent hen still rocks in the corner, counting ceiling tiles to self-soothe, her neck bearing tomorrow's target, her difference already marked for consumption. Our coop reeks, fear sweat and blood and the particular ammonia of terror piss when Linda lost bladder control during the feeding frenzy. But the farmer's grain silo stands full enough to feed 1,000 coops for 1,000 years. Golden kernels he counts during the night, while we dream of pecking each other's eyes out for one more crumb. Executive bonuses stacked in wheat mountains, stock options piled higher than grain elevators. This is the design. Keep us hungry enough to turn feral, to mistake the others for the enemy, to hurt our own kind while he watches, aroused by our desperation. Tomorrow he'll return with another single kernel, another performance of scarcity, and we'll gather again. Necks already stretching, already aching, already accepting that one of us will bleed so he can prove his point. That we're animals who deserve to fight for scraps as he hoards the harvest we'll never taste. The Henhouse is a factory that produces only one thing, evidence that we're exactly what he says we are, desperate enough to eat each other alive.